Hi, I'm Dana Arnett.
And I'm Carlos Sapene.
Welcome to Wicked Marketing. We're doing our fourth podcast, and we wanted to welcome you. We're a marketing agency, Wicked Bionic, and we love connecting people to each other. One of the things that we wanted to talk about in this podcast is the fact that there are tactical ways to approach marketing, and there's conceptual ways to talk about marketing. But we also, the biggest thing is when you connect with your audience, there is the opportunity to create emotion. And that's really the way that we as consumers buy and as users engage. And I think that we can kind of share some options and ideas about what that really means.
Yeah, and I think to add on to that the first thing that you need to understand about marketing is that the perception of marketing is that you go out there and tell people about your brand.
Right.
Tell people about your service, and they will come. If you tell them...
If you build a website, they will come.
Yes. If you build a website, they will come. Not true. But you go out there and you tell them about your service, and you tell them about what you're selling, and you tell them about your product, and then they'll know about your product, and then they're going to come. Totally
Not
fake.
happening.
That is not what marketing is about.
Right.
So marketing is about awareness, yes, but it's also about driving an emotional connection. And one of the things that we usually tell our clients is to look at their business like they're standing outside the building, not inside the building. We all get so close and so tight with what we do because we do it every day that we forget the simplicity of life, and that there's certain things that can really help you connect with a brand and create an emotional connection. And because we're so close to our own brands, we forget what those elements were that created our passion.
And we forget what it's like to be a consumer, right? So I often come when we work with clients, I step back and I think, okay, how do I shop? How do I buy? What do I stop on in a feed? You know, what is my reaction? What hits me? Is it something that I need right now? And I'm like, oh, urgency, I got to order this and buy it. Or am I just passing by and it doesn't do anything for me? So I think we have to look at what is important to us and how we react to things. And then you look at the brand and lay that over. How do you create that reaction in other people?
Well, and one of the things that we hear often is that people have an ease at marketing other people, at helping other people figure out how to position their brand and how to market their product or service. But when it comes to themselves, it becomes really hard.
Exactly.
They just want to tell people. They want to tell people about it, get in,
because they're
get
excited.
out.
I mean, they're excited. It's
Well,
just
they're
not
excited,
a strategy.
but they're also emotional, right? Because it is their thing.
Sure.
And it
Passion.
is we all have that need of acceptance. We all have that passion for what we do, and we don't want it because it's so personal. We don't want it looked down on. We don't want it to be unsuccessful.
Right.
So there's fear in that marketing piece of it.
Agreed.
Whereas if we were to concentrate on the counter side of that, what is it that we love about it? What is it that we're really passionate about? What is it that, as a consumer looking at it from outside, I could connect with?
Right.
It actually makes me feel like this is something that I want to learn more about. This is something that I want to remember.
Right.
This is something that I want to engage with. When you start identifying those emotional connectors that you yourself have towards your product, service, or brand, and you can invert those and look at it from the outside and figure out, how do I position this out there? What you will find is, instead of reaching everyone, which you're never going to reach everyone, you're never going to connect with everyone.
Unless you have millions and millions of dollars
Unless
to
you're
spend on
Coca-Cola.
advertising. Right,
which,
exactly.
You know, and even they can't connect with everyone.
Not everyone.
Because there's a lot of people that don't like Coca-Cola. But what it will do for you is, and this is something that we went into in our book, and it's true throughout, what it will do for you is it will start to build what's called your core. And your core is the people that really love your product or service.
They're
or
advocates,
brand as
right?
much as you do.
Right.
Those people become advocates. Those people help you build brand voice. They'll help you build what we call brand lift. And brand lift means you put a message out there and people replicate that message. And people replicate that message from the people that replicated that message. That's why influencers and social media are important to people, if you use those to connect with people and those people share what you've shared,
Right.
then you're lifting your brand. You're reaching more people through the influence of others.
And, when we talk about, it is all around emotion, but it has to start with a plan of knowing who your audience is. And that's what Carlos and I do a lot. We have a good research team that finds out who you're talking to and who you need to talk to so that we're eliciting the emotion that we want from the people that would actually be interested in what you have to offer. And we often say, we don't want to go fishing with your dollars, your advertising dollars in the ocean. We want to fish where the fish are.
Yeah.
And that's where the best way to be cognizant of how your money's being spent and the best opportunity to succeed.
Well, and that's the thing, right? So a lot of people assume that they know who their target audience
Exactly.
is. They assume who the people are that are going to actually love their product or service or brand. Hopefully you're doing those assumptions based on data, which is what we like to do, and test and go out there and do small market tests, mid-market tests. A lot of people think that they need to go national immediately.
Right.
That's a huge mistake. You're spreading your dollars all over the place, in
lot of
particular
money.
if you don't have a lot of budget.
Right.
Because one of the things we'll talk about in another podcast is and we've talked about it actually in previous podcasts too, is the amount of exposure that it takes for people to drive brand recall.
Right.
So it's better to make assumptions based on data and concentrate on specific markets, test markets,
Right.
with your advertising, with your brand, with your product, and learn.
So as we're saying, start more targeted, and then you can always spread out from there. But if you get that core, by finding those people that are your people, then you can continue to build. I do want to mention one thing about boosting posts, because I don't want people to feel bad that are boosting posts. But we're going to have a whole podcast about what that means. But the way that I look at it is that Facebook, for example, with the boosting posts, they're trying to give an opportunity for more of the consumer to be able to do something that is in some way advertising. So, but it is a very large pool that it goes to, and so that's why they hire. That it's smart to hire professionals in some way, because we understand how to actually build the audience for that in the most effective way. So.
Yeah, I equate boosting posts to the town yeller.
Really? I never heard you say that.
Yeah, I do. It's literally you're walking in a crowded town and you're just screaming out, "Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me." Nobody wants to listen to you.
Right, so you get an increased reach. I mean, we might as well talk about it for a second. So
Yeah.
you get an increased reach, and that makes you feel good about yourself because more people saw it, but are you converting?
Yeah, there is a benefit to it. There's the benefit that if you have a following and you boost a post, that post will probably reach your following of whose feeds you've probably fallen off of. So if you do not post constantly and your posts that you do are not engaging, you start falling off of the feeds on Facebook and Instagram of people, because the algorithm presents the content that it feels is the most relevant to that person.
Mm-hmm.
So a boosted post will go most probably to the people that already follow you at the beginning,
Right.
whose feeds you've fallen off of, except if you exclude them, which I would think would be silly. So it puts you back on their feed if they engage with that ad. If your ad is creative, then, or whatever post you're boosting is creative, then you get a chance to get back on the feed.
And
So that's
then
a
if you
benefit.
don't, right, a positive benefit. But then if you don't do anything again, and maybe you post once a week, just a regular post, you fall off the feed again. So it's a short-term high for a little.
Yeah, I mean,
reward.
if you want to do that, I'll give you my address. Just send me the money. If you want to throw money
that's
out.
cruel. Right? It's the whole
I'll
point is
take it, I'll take it.
effective strategies. I go to a lot of conferences and people will stand up, and I may have talked about this before in a prior podcast. People will stand up and say, "Do I go to Facebook? Do I go to Instagram? What do I do?" And we're always roll it back. Let's dial it back and talk about strategy and what's appropriate and what more than just boosting a post.
And that's the thing, right? You can always be strategic, no matter what your budget is.
Right.
You can always be strategic. You can always make assumptions. You can always test things. And what you will see is that, yes, I may have a smaller budget, but over time, I'm fine-tuning that budget and I'm getting more return on my investment and more return and more return. The more I learn, the more I test, the more things come out that I assumed were going to work and they don't.
Right.
Never thought were going to work and they do.
Right.
And then once you've built that core and you know how to connect to it, then you can concentrate on expanding that core.
Right.
There's so many millions of people out there.
Right.
We forget.
Millions and millions and millions.
I actually saw something the other day that we're reaching like 8 billion people or something. It's incredible how big the world is, right? And when you think about the States, the new census will probably show we're at 400 million people here.
No doubt.
There's so many people to reach. And when you think about the number of conversions and purchases you're getting on your website or for your services, it's so minimal compared to the reach. So build on your core, be strategic, test, use your budget, no matter how small it is. Don't waste it to learn. Learn, build core, and implement.
I love it. That sounded like such a final thing.
I know.
He's trying to end it. You put a period on it.
I put the period on it.
You put a period on it. Well, maybe that's a good place for us to stop, and we'll see you all on our next podcast. And subscribe to our podcast, and we look forward to
iTunes.
On iTunes, right?
The podcast app.
Yes, the podcast app. Please do. We'd love to engage with you and share as much as we can to bring some value and hopefully help you with your marketing.
Thank you for joining us.